have to make people aware that you exist. And you have to be able to tell them something about what you're doing and speak to them where they are. It can't just be, I do divorces. It's just like, it would be like McDonald's saying, I serve food. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just can't be that way. I'm very fortunate that we've been able to build a fairly dynamic website. Big thing now is SEO is dead. I do not believe that. This business largely on SEO, and I think SEO, while it may not be as big a deal as it was 5 to 10 years ago, it's not dead and it's not going away as long as Google is the predominant search engine and the maps are the key.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, thank you for asking, and thank you so much for coming to this call with me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Awesome. Before we start, I want to give you some context so we know what we're doing. I did send you some videos, like some of my previous interviews that I posted on YouTube, so I feel like you might have an idea. But I am the founder of Market Movers. Market Movers is a company that helps other companies, such as law firms, to increase revenue and profits. We do have proven strategies that fits everybody's goals and budget, especially. But I started Market Movers after I finished law school. So I went to law school, realized that I didn't want to be an attorney. But I saw a lot of my friends leaving law school and struggling to find clients, because you go to law school, you learn legal, you don't learn business, right? I had previous experience with businesses because I had my own businesses in Brazil and started helping some friends out. They started giving me referrals and things are happening. Now we are established company for over a year and we helped over 20 brands all over Latin America. So it's been very fun, but I wanted to get better insights into the legal industry, especially after AI. I feel like so much has changed. And I thought it was going to be very selfish to me to just keep all this great information to myself. So I decided to create this white paper and the YouTube channel too, because since I started talking to people, I had over 50 interviews so far. I also thought it would be very good to share this information, these interviews on my YouTube channel. So if you don't mind, I would love to share a conversation too. I'll tag your company. I love to collaborate.
Yeah. What's your YouTube channel? I went to it and watched a couple, but I don't remember the name of it.
It is Market Movers. MKT Movers, actually, because I like did a shorter version of Market. So MKT Movers, I can send it to you again on LinkedIn. Okay. I just recently posted yesterday a new episode of a conversation with Pat Linden. So it was very fun. I've been having, great insights, and it's awesome because not just from lawyers, but with like marketing directors and COOs. So it's very fun, like, and nice to see what everybody has to say about legal tech and trends, employee retention and all that. So that's a little scope of what we're doing here. And I want to know more about you, about your company. I saw that you have 20 plus years experience with law firms, with family law, and you're not too far from me. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. You are in North Carolina, right?
Yes, I'm right outside of Raleigh.
Oh, okay, cool. I haven't been to Raleigh, but
yeah, it's exploding.
Yeah.
So anyway, very similar. Greenville, South Carolina is exploding too, but this is exploding as well.
Yeah, true. But yeah, let me know, like, tell me about yourself. How did you start this company? How is it going? How much you guys have grown in this past few years?
My name is Jonathan Breeden, and I'm a family law attorney in the suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been here in the suburb October of 2000. So I've been in business for 24 years now and learned a lot about the practice of law, about families, why families break up, why families stay together. And I've learned a lot about marketing and running the business and stuff like that over that period of time, which I've really enjoyed. So I've been able now to largely get out of the practice of law. I primarily now just run the business, and I have a team of, 19 or 20 that do most of the work for me now. And I just try to run the business as best I can with the help of a business coach and a consultant and other people. Because like you said, in law school, you don't know everything, and they definitely don't teach you a whole lot of business. I'm very fortunate. I had a father who was a CPA in a small town in Laurinburg, North Carolina, and so he spent his entire career working with small business owners and seeing what worked and what didn't work for them. And so just listening to him over the years talk about the different mistakes that he would see small business owners make, you sort of put that in the back of your mind. And it didn't mean I didn't make them, but it wasn't the first time I'd heard them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was important as well. So yeah, so we've got golly, we've got an attorney leaving tomorrow. We just had another one start. We got two more starting. I think when it's all said and done, we're going to have 7 associate attorneys working with me here. So I think we'll have 8 total, and that'll be in a few weeks. We're always looking to hire new people all the time. You probably, if you're in a growth mode like me, you probably should always be hiring because and you probably, if you're out there and you have the cash flow, you probably need one more position than you think you need because of the turnover rate. We have a fair number of young attorneys here, and so they're trying to figure it out. This is often their first real job. They're between 25 and 30 years old. They have some ideal of what the ideal of the practice of law and the actual practice of law, probably not the same thing. It is probably not as sexy or as gratifying as maybe you tell yourself while you're spending 3 years studying all the time and going into a couple $100,000 in debt. But, that's okay too. So if you're going to mainly be hiring young people, and I don't care if you're talking about law, whatever you're talking about, if you're hiring people that are going to be new to the profession or young in the profession, then there's going to be a certain amount of turnover just because those people haven't figured out what they want to do yet and what they want to do. And family law is extremely difficult because the clients are difficult. And, the law itself, not that complicated. Best interest of the child support worksheets, try to figure out what the property is, divide it 50-50. That part, it can be complicated, but it's usually the day-to-day is not. But in family law, you have people going through divorces or separations, and I don't care if you are married or not. If there's a kid involved, it's going to be really difficult because you love nothing more in this world than your children. And so that, there's a lot of emotions in that, and a lot of people will blame the attorney for outcomes that are a result of their behaviors because they don't take personal responsibility for how they got in the situation, and you're supposed to be able to get them out of it. And you never know which client is going to go from being, you saved the day to a bar complaint, and it can be that same person in 72 hours. And that can be difficult, particularly for young attorneys, who pour their hearts and the souls into these cases. And, maybe they get you often get the outcome you deserve, but it may not be the outcome that your client's expecting. And then all of a sudden, somebody else has to be to blame for the outcome. And so it's just easy to blame the attorney. And so that's hard. It's hard for young attorneys. It's hard for older attorneys too, but it's definitely hard for young attorneys. So you have to, you probably, if you're going to have young people, you probably need 1 or 2 more than you think you need, because, you have to assume a certain level of turnover no matter how good a job you do in providing a positive work environment.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, right? Like I hear that a lot from other conversations I have with attorneys, that it's so hard to find quality, like talent people, especially because they just finished law school, right? And then they have a ton of opportunities, and big law firms sometimes can pay way more than small law firms can pay. So it's just like a very hard way to like find good people and retain these young people, because you're right. As soon as things get hard and they find another way to, get another job, sometimes it's easier for them to do that. So I totally agree with what you're saying. I hear that a lot from other law firms as well.
And we're not here to try to, we're trying to provide the best environment we can provide. I highly recommend Joey Coleman's book, Never Lose an Employee Again. It came out in July of 2023. I believe it's a bestseller. It's a really good book. It's an easy read, and it breaks down ways that you can build loyalty among your employees. And tricks of the trade, and it taught me a lot. I mean, I've had a chance to meet him twice now, because he's spoken at conferences I was at. He also wrote the book Never Lose a Client Again back in 2018, which was also, I believe, a New York Times bestseller. And it did and that's a really good book too on customer service and stuff like that. And I would highly recommend both of those books. Joey Coleman is a recovering attorney, kind of like you, Jessica. He used to be an attorney. So, but yeah, it's interesting. But people, building a team and maintaining a team and providing the support, I think that there is a thought among young attorneys out there that there's going to be a lot of support, and that they're not going to make any mistakes, and they're going to be shown how to do everything. And I mean, we provide a fair amount of support here, but it's not nearly the much support as I think a lot of them think they're going to get. And of course I got really not a lot of support at all. I came out and started my own law firm straight out of law school at 25 years old, here in Johnson County, right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I really didn't know anybody in this county. I just came here because it was growing fast. It was near. I felt like it was, I didn't want to. Raleigh probably had too many lawyers, but the suburbs around Raleigh didn't have enough. And that's still the case today. Most cities have plenty of lawyers, and any of the suburbs don't have enough lawyers at all. And rural America doesn't have anywhere near enough lawyers. And so I would tell anybody that wants to either start a business or expand a business, get outside the main cities, because the big thing they're talking about here in North Carolina, and they're talking about this around the country through the ABA and everything else, is legal deserts, right? And a legal desert is defined as less than one lawyer for every 1,000 people. And I think North Carolina has 100 counties, and I know you said you were in Greenville, South Carolina, but I think like maybe 80 of them would be qualified as a desert, because I don't think they have one for every 1,000 people, which includes my primary county, Johnson County. I believe it may include Harnett County, which is another one of our counties that we practice in, which is just south of Raleigh and Wake County. But it definitely doesn't include Raleigh. Raleigh's got plenty of lawyers. Because it's the number one place to live in America. And so lawyers want to, but you can live in the suburbs, have all and be able to have, plenty of cases and plenty of business where there's not quite as much competition. And so that's always something to consider as well. We made a lot of really good decisions over the years. We've been very successful, very blessed, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years. But it also helps to just be in an area that's absolutely exploding with growth, because it gives me, there's more young families breaking up and going through divorces in my immediate area every single month than there was the month before. So that's more people that could possibly come use the services that the Breeden Law Office provides. We don't have enough attorneys in our county here in the suburbs. We have a lot of attorneys who live in our county and work in Raleigh, because it's only 20 minutes to downtown Raleigh to the courthouse from parts of the county. But we don't have enough attorneys that are based here in Johnson County or even in Harnett County for that matter. And it's pretty much that way in all the suburban counties around Raleigh and Wake County in North Carolina. And as I travel around the country, speaking to different groups of people, I'm hearing the same thing, that the cities have plenty and the suburbs don't have enough. And I don't know how we fix this, but I do think the legal industry is going to have to figure out how are we going to provide representation to people in the suburbs and in these rural counties, that where they're not attorneys based. And I think it's going to come down to WebEx and Zoom, really. And that, these attorneys are going to be advocating for their clients, from a computer, from their desk, and representing clients. And they're already doing this in parts of North Carolina where you have attorneys that are more towards the cities representing people using WebEx, which is it's like Zoom or different things like, if you're not familiar with WebEx, but it is a meeting site like Zoom. Most of us are familiar with Zoom, and these people are being represented by attorneys, a couple hundred miles away on WebEx. And, and at this point, there are parts of the county, that's the only way to get these people representation, particularly court-appointed representation. When you're thinking about representing parents in cases with Department of Social Services or Children and Family, where children may have been placed in foster care or removed from a home because their safety can't be assured while the parents work on some things. And then also with some misdemeanors, criminal cases, people are entitled to a court-appointed lawyer. They're having to use these, and in North Carolina, it's still largely 98% of the cases are done live. I know that the bankruptcy courts are now all virtual around the country. I know a lot of the federal courts have become virtual around the country. That is not the state court model in North Carolina as its core, like it may be in New York and some other places. But they're starting to have to use it more and more, even though the judges don't like it. I don't know that the attorneys like it per se, but it's a way to deliver representation to people in areas where there's just not enough lawyers.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw that you do have, you can attend a lot of counties around Raleigh, which is very nice. And talking about competition, because you're right, like there's a ton right there, but how does your competitive landscape look like right now? And how do you differentiate yourself?
And I could be wrong, Jessica, but I honestly believe there is enough for everybody. I mean, you're talking about Wake County has 1.5 million people. I mean, there's a lot of people around Raleigh and Wake County. There's now 275,000 people in my county of Johnston, and Johnston County is where I-95 and I-40 meet. So anybody watching this, if you've ever been on I-95 or I-40, the two biggest interstates in the country meet about 10 miles from my office here in my county. There's plenty of, I just think there's plenty of work, but I do think you have to make people aware that you exist. And I do think that's where marketing comes in. And I have a very good marketing team out of Columbus, Ohio, called Postali. And they've been with me for the last 8 years, and they've done a very good job. They started as a direct mailing speeding tickets and personal injury cases, and they've evolved into a complete marketing thing for lawyers. Everything from blogs to websites to newsletters to placement to billboards to, we're working on new avatars to market to and how to write to them right now. I just was looking at that before I got on here with you. I do think you have to let people know that you're aware, and you have to be able to tell them something about what you're doing and speak to them where they are. It can't just be, oh, I do divorces. It's just like, it'd be like McDonald's saying, I serve food. You know what I'm saying? Like it just can't be that way. And so, I've been very fortunate that we've been able to build a fairly dynamic website. I know the big thing now is SEO is dead. I do not believe that. I've built this business largely on SEO. And I think SEO, while it may not be as big a deal as it was 5 to 10 years ago, it's not dead and it's not going away as long as Google is the predominant search engine. And so I've been very fortunate. I have this website. They're constantly working on it. We're constantly writing blogs. We're constantly, adding YouTube videos to it. I started a podcast, which has been very successful, way more successful than I ever thought it was going to be. I didn't think anybody would listen to me sitting in my office talking to neighbors, which is what I do. I talk to neighbors. Yeah. But it's really been fascinating. It's called Best of Johnston County, and that podcast was ranked the number 4 legal podcast in all of North Carolina, which I found to be a few weeks ago. But it was fascinating to me by somebody who did the survey. I don't know who they are, but I rate, you Google your name and there it was. I thought, oh, that was nice. Somebody to say something nice about my podcast. Once again, I didn't think anybody listened. What we do in that is a community podcast. Literally, I am interviewing local business owners, local elected officials, community leaders, community service leaders, the head of the Rotary clubs, like just interesting people that I know in the community about what they do, the service they provide. We try to give them some value, like we had a dentist explain why electric toothbrushes are better than actual toothbrushes, right? That kind of stuff. And how they can provide that service, because what I'm trying to do is promote the small businesses out here in the suburbs, so that the people that live here that work in Raleigh, and there's 75,000 of them every day that leave my county to work in Raleigh, which is fine, know that these services are here and these businesses are in their community. And then every fourth or fifth episode, I answer questions about family law that I find to be interesting, that I get from my social media coordinator, and we put those out there as well. So there's a little bit of law, a whole lot of talking about local politics, and the local baker and stuff like that. So it's been that's been really good. We've had a lot of success with local service ads. I know people have mixed opinions about those. I've got friends in Phoenix that can't seem to get them to work, but we've had a lot of success here with local service ads, and working with those as well. And we just have gotten in to pay-per-click probably in the last month. So it's not working yet. You got to figure out, you got to get your landing page right. You got to figure out what words you want to talk to. I'm spending a lot of money to get a lot of bad leads right now, but I do feel like in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will get that more dialed in.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned. And then the other thing that I do, and you can't, and I can put an ROI on pay-per-click, and I can put an ROI on LSAs. If you're tracking, you have to have a CRM, to do these things. I use 4Eyes, which is one you've probably not heard of. It's a small company based out of Wilmington, North Carolina. That's offices. It's got a lot of employees in Guadalajara, Mexico. It's an offshoot of Diener Law, which is one of the which is a fairly law immigration firm that in several states. It's a slimmed down version of Salesforce, and it's been pretty good for me. But there are other ones out there to use. I don't care. I mean, whether it's Clio Grow, HubSpot. I mean, if you don't have a CRM and you want to grow, you got to get one, because you got to be able to track the leads, and you got to be able to follow up. You got to be able to put them in a drip campaign. You got to be able to call them back. We make 600 to 700 outbound calls a week with employees in El Salvador in a call center, calling the leads, the cold leads. You call me, you don't book. You call me, you don't show up. You come in, you don't hire me. I'm going to keep calling you, because
until you say no. Yeah.
Right, until you say no. It's sort of until you buy, die, or unsubscribe, right? I mean, that's just kind of where it is. And so, but I mean, that's important, because particularly in family law, you may not be ready to go right now.
Right.
And like I said, I can't cold call anybody as an attorney, but if you call me, or you download the book I wrote, or you get you come to one of my blogs, or you ask, I give out right now immediate work subscriptions. People love those things. I give out 30-day subscriptions to Better Health for counseling services for free. Yeah, you don't have to come. You don't have to be a client for any of that. If you want those things, you reach out to us at breedenfarm.com. We help you out with those things. But in exchange for that, I get your information, and then I can market to you. And I continue to market to you. And when you're ready, you're ready. And I don't know when that's going to be, so I'm going to keep trying to follow up with you. And then when we're done, we continue to email you different things about school safety, Make a Will Month, Happy Memorial, Happy Labor Day, Merry Christmas. I mean, just stuff like that. I usually try to get them with character memes of Snoopies and, something fun, something I would like to see, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's the thing. You have to build your flock. You have to nurture your flock. You communicate. And of course, you have to provide good service, right? You do all this work in these cases. If you don't provide good service, you got to get those 5-star reviews. 5-star rules are gold. Google My Business listings are absolutely free. If you don't have one of those, go get it. They are crucial. Get 5-star reviews. Get regular ones on there. 80 some odd % of your potential clients are going to check your Google reviews. We all do it now, whether I'm going to a restaurant, a hotel, or whatever. You got to have some reviews out there. Answer all the reviews. Even the bad ones. I answer those too. I mean, and sometimes I think we do a pretty good job, but sometimes people, they don't like the outcome, or they don't like what they got charged because they couldn't afford the investment to start with. And that's that happens. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to be successful. But you have to do something, Jessica, right? You can't just do nothing, right? You have to make a decision. And you know, and you got to work on your mindset too. I spent a lot of time, you know, listening to mindset podcast, right? Because, you know, the humans focus on scarcity, and because we're animals, right? We're making a million decisions a second. Am I hot? Am I cold? Are you dangerous? Am I hungry? Fight, flight, whatever, like all this stuff, right? And so because we're an animal and we have to eat and we have needs, you know, we're going to have an innate, if that's the word, towards scarcity, because if you don't, then you might not eat enough food. And believe me, I eat plenty of food, which is, but you know, that kind of stuff. But as a business owner, you have to overcome that.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to be able to focus on the plenty and make decisions that move you in the right direction. And people get afraid. They're like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Look, 85% of the things you think are going to happen, or 95, will never happen. And you let the anxiety stop you from making a decision, Jessica, if you would just make a step. Because if it starts to go wrong, you will adjust and do something else before you get to all the bad things you think are going to happen. Right. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people just sit there and they think, oh, this is going to happen. And they get this sort of paralysis by analysis type stuff, and they don't make a decision to move forward. And not making a decision is a decision. So why not make a decision today to better your business, better your life, and have the life you want? Don't go to a job you don't like. Don't work for somebody you don't like. Like, life's too short. It takes a lot of energy to go to a job you dislike.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard the other day that professional chess players burn 6,000 calories a day sitting. So yeah, it's crazy, right?
Crazy.
Because that's how much energy the brain uses. Just make decisions, do the right thing. There's lots of help out there. I got a business coach, Richard James, Your Practice Mastered, has been a great help for me in my business as far as structuring and stuff like that. I've got a consultant. You know, I've got a CRM. I've got I BBL Communications out of Anaheim, California, is the call center I use in El Salvador for my employees down there. I mean, there's tons of resources out there to help anybody, but you got to go find them. Nobody's going to just go and dump them into your head. And so I think that's what is important. And if people would, if they don't take anything else from this conversation, is you got to do something. And know your numbers, right? You got to know your numbers. You need to know, how many leads do I have? How many sets do I have? How many shows do I have? How many people are hiring me? How many people are paying in full? How many people are referring to me? What is my average case value? What does it cost me to get a case? Because I would say that 90% of small lawyers out there don't charge enough money. I know I wasn't charging the right fee because I was charging what everybody else was charging. Yeah. Well, that's not right, because they weren't profitable either.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. Jonathan, you are so smart, and like I'm just trying to take notes in here. Thank God I have my note taker so I can go back to this call. Because wow, it's so much great information, because you're right. Like, a lot of attorneys, I see that they just focus on being an attorney and they forget about being an entrepreneur. Like, if you own a business, you cannot forget about those things. And it's hilarious, because I talk to some attorneys, especially old school, they're just like, oh, it doesn't matter to me, like this number. It's like, no, I just focus on the everyday kind of thing. Like, they don't think about the future. I asked them, like, what are the goals for the company? Like, number wise, they don't have anything in place. They just like going with the flow, with the everyday tasks. And you can only grow so much if you have the mindset. But I'm sure that all the coaching and all this time and money, like, you have to invest on those things too. That's the thing. Like, you have to take some money apart and some time apart to invest in mindset, in growth, because this is also important. That brings me to my next question, which is goals. Like, it seems like the company is growing so much. You were always investing on all this different, sectors of the business, which is fantastic. What are the goals for the next year ahead, for the next 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough. We've been growing at, 50% a year over year. So I think we would like to do something like that again. If we can, we're going to add some new team members here in the next few weeks. So we're picking up 3 new associates with the new graduating class of attorneys. So we're going to see if we can't get those people trained up in the way we practice law. Good or bad, family law is the most attorney driven law because we advocate, we go to court, we're on our feet, we're making arguments. It's a little easier to systemize things, and you can systemize some family law, but bankruptcy and immigration, those types of law can easily be systemized. And I've got friends in those fields that have 60, 70, 80% of their employees in Mexico and El Salvador and Costa Rica and stuff like that, and they're taking advantage of those savings because of how far the dollar goes down there. But I think we want to continue to. The main thing is you got to continue to provide a high level of service, right? And so how do you get people to get the level of service that I would provide through these young associates? And how can we get them trained up so that these people are, it's like a machine, right? Like I gotta be able to crank out more work, even though I'm not doing it, but it still has to be a high quality. And so we're going to continue working on our training, our onboarding systems. If you don't have an onboarding system, if you don't have a checklist of 28 or 30 things that everybody should do when they get onboarded into your business, go make one. It won't take you 15 minutes. And you can put it right, you can make a task list, put it right into Clio. And when the new employee gets there, it says, go do this task list. Because onboarding is so crucial to keeping employees, and if you get proper onboarding, the likelihood they're going to stay goes up exponentially if you mess up the onboarding. So we want to keep working on the onboarding process for these new attorneys. We want to keep providing support for the attorneys we have. We want to continue to provide 5-star level of service to our clients to where we can get those 5-star reviews. We're going to keep doing this podcast, Best of Johnston County. It's on YouTube and Apple and Spotify. I absolutely love it. Push Button Podcast is who helps me produce those things. They're out of Florida. They do a great job. They don't charge that much money. Definitely would highly recommend them as well. And we'll see. Because ultimately, if you do things the right way and you treat people the right way, everything, you've got to keep making decisions. Mindset Mentor is one of the number one, it might be the number one mindset podcast in the world. I listen to it 3 or 4 times a week. Rob Dow Jr. out of Austin, Texas, does a great job. I listen to the Successful Mind podcast. I think that guy's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He does a great job as well. There's tons of them out there. I mean, there are tons. Alex Hormozy, all the stuff. But if you want, those are the 2 that I like to go to as well. There's tons of podcasts I listen to about how to run law firms and be better. Richard James, my business coach, has a podcast. I think it's called Your Practice Mastered. So where he just talks to business owners and industry leaders about ways to be better in your business. It's not about law. It's about being a better business person. And I do think that is one thing that lawyers struggle with. Is the business side, because they're too busy working in their business and they don't work on their business. But look, if you're in the business and you're drowning and you want to grow, work in the business 9 to 5, work on the business 5 to 9. I'm telling you, if you do that for 6 months, you're going to be in a lot better place than you are right now.
That's so true. My last question for you, because I don't want to take too long. I was trying to keep it under 30 or 40 minutes. If you had a magic wand that you could wave and solve one problem right now, what would that problem or thing be?
It would be the ability to be able to attract experienced family law attorneys to the suburbs.
Challenging, huh?
That is a very challenging thing. If they don't already live here, and even if they do live here, they like working in Raleigh, they like practicing in a single courthouse with judges they know, where we travel to several counties, and you have to drive to those counties. It's not far, but so if I could figure out how to attract experienced family law attorneys to the suburbs that wanted to work and do things the way that we do it and provide the level of service I have, that would be the magic wand. Because right now, what we're able to attract out here are brand new attorneys, which is great. They don't come with bad habits, but it takes a lot of training, and it would be great to get one or two with some experience to help me with these younger attorneys. I do have one supervising attorney, but I could use one or two more. So
Okay.
that's the thing. And I talk to friends in the suburbs, Scott Brown and Angles in Texas, south of Houston. He's in the same boat. He what can he do to get experienced family law attorneys to come to the suburbs of South Houston? We have these questions all the time, and it's tough. And family lawyers, there's just not enough of them because it's so difficult, because the people are so difficult. It does create a shortage. So I wish there were more people that wanted to do it to help children, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I'll keep my eye open, and if I see anything, I'll definitely be super happy to send your way. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Like, this has been such a great conversation. As soon as I added the video and I post the video, I'll share with you. By the way, I did look at your videos, and it looks fantastic. If you ever need any help with editing, I do all the editing for my social channels. As I said, like, I do have a whole team of like designers and social media experts and all that. They are actually, you're talking about El Salvador, most of my employees right now, they are in Brazil too. Like, starting the company, my main goal was to give back to my community, and I can find so many great, like, highly qualified talent in Brazil. So I've been very fortunate to being able to like help them as well. So yeah, anything that you need, or if you know anybody that needs some help in the business, like with revenue growth and strategy, brand awareness, especially, like we do specialize a lot in brand awareness, and we have different strategies that fits everybody's budgets, especially because I do outsource the labor. I'll be super happy if you could refer us as well.
All right. Thanks a lot. Anybody can reach out to me at breedenfirm.com. That's BREEDEN firm.com. Or you can give us a call at 919-661-4970. Check out the Best of Johnson County podcast. I think you'll find it interesting, even if you don't live here, just because it's a nice community podcast, and I guarantee you'll learn something. Thanks.